Welcome back to Felger and Mazz. Mike's out. It's Mazz and the Murrays and you at 617-779-0985. I now feel this more than ever. No matter who is in the quarterback room in 2024 for the Patriots, when they kick off in September, he can't be part of it. He's got to go. I don't want Bailey Zappi there either. Again, I think the talent-to-ego ratio on both of those guys is out of whack. And so if they draft someone at 3 overall, even if you're going to sit him for a year, do you want those two around them in what has been a poisonous and toxic quarterback room? And that's not my words. That's the words of Bert Breer of the MMQB. Reading last night from his mailbag on SI.com, he says, from this reader, any chance Mayo gives Mac Jones another chance as starter? And Bert replies, Luke, I'd be surprised. It's not that I think Jones is a lost cause. It's that his cause in New England is lost. It's really hard to live down your history with an NFL team, and Jones is with the Patriots is not good. Drafted 15th, hasn't come close to living up to his slot. Good as a rookie, regressed badly since. Well-liked early on, but over time lost support in the building. And the quarterback he was in the last 2 years got toxic to the point where Bailey Zappi, as a rookie, sometimes watched tape in the receiver room. Now, before I move on, what kind of a-hole do you have to be in the room to alienate a guy so much where he basically says, yeah, I'm going to go watch tape in the bathroom. Like, I don't want to be around you. You're too much of a prick. Like, it really got that kind of bad. You can't have this guy around.
He's got to go, Murray. In fact, look again, and you said this, but don't stop with Jones. What they need is a quarterback enema.
Yeah, flush it all out.
They do. They need to wipe out the whole thing and start over. I couldn't agree with that more.
He goes on.
Seriously.
He goes on to write, that's a lot of wounds, some self-inflicted, some not, to try and heal, and wounds that Gerard Mayo saw surface with his own eyes as a Patriots assistant. You can't snap your fingers and make that history disappear with coaches and staff. What happens if Jones comes back and has some bumps in the offseason in camp or in an early game? Everyone will point right back to the history, which makes for a tough environment for Jones to try and move forward in, and potentially a tough spot for Mayo to dig his first team out of. All excellent points. He finishes up by saying that's also before we even get to the possibility that Drake May or Jaden Daniels are part of this equation, in which case you'd almost have to get rid of Jones. He says it's the ideal for Jones is he lands somewhere else, like San Francisco as a backup, gets a year to learn, play if there's an injury, rebuild his name and reputation in the league. And this is something actually Devin McCourty talked to all of us about last week at the Super Bowl, Mazz, right? Like, I found that very telling. Like, yeah, he might get another shot. It can't be here. Like, hey, it sucks. You got dealt a bad hand a few years back when your offensive coordinators were those gargoyles and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and that blows, dude. But he also handled it terribly, and it's devolved into a situation where the room was so toxic, again, that Bailey Zappi, who I think, again, ego to talent ratio with him is out of whack too, but he says, I'm good. I'm going to go watch film in the receiver's room because I can't be around you. Like, what was he? Was he acting like a 12-year-old girl that didn't get her way? Like, how bad do you have to be to alienate someone enough that says, all right, like, you can be in a room with a-holes you work with and you deal with it, but it's so bad that the kid had to say, yeah, I'm good. I'll go down the hall. I can't be around you because you're that bad. You're just that bad. You're too toxic. He's got to go. It can't be here.
I mean, it could have been worse. I guess he could have gone into Belichick's office to watch film like that. That would have been a worse. That would have been a worse outcome. But look, we had some idea that they weren't necessarily supporting one another, which is a bad sign to begin with. It should never be that contentious between teammates to the point where the whole thing is deteriorated and you can't be in the same room together. That's just not healthy. I'm all for competition, but if it gets to the point where you can't look at each other, that's hardly a good thing. I mean, how do people expect to work in that environment? And Murray, I look at the whole thing when Devin McCourty said what he said back at the Super Bowl, to go back to your other point, I was borderline stunned that he said it.
Yeah, right.
And not because it was any sort of indictment on Matt Jones, because I think we all know McCourty's got way too much dignity to throw someone under the bus, and I just don't think he's wired that way to begin with. But the fact is that he said, oh, no, I just don't think you hear players say that anymore where, oh, yeah, no, he can't play here anymore.
Well, I also found it telling in that it's like, well, now that Bill's gone, and I know that, look, Devin's retired and he's got a great career. He's kicking off here with being working in media, but it feels like, well, now that Bill's out of the picture, we're free to talk. That's kind of what it felt like.
Well, I'll say that, man, I was going to say, every time you guys interviewed somebody, right, you guys would bring up Mac Jones and somebody was like, Yeah, man. Mac's got to go somewhere else, or he's got to find his spot somewhere else. Like, they were very delicate about the situation, but the McCourty one really stood out to me. But I just wanted to have some fun with this one with you guys. Who do you think is worth more as an asset? Is it Mac Jones or is it Bailey Zappi across the league?
Jones.
Yeah, probably Jones, because I still think the draft status matters, where he was drafted, and another GM and another team can see the upside. Obviously, I think Kyle Shanahan and Niners were really interested, or at least he was interested in drafting him. Again, I think they're both limited. I think their talent are kind of one and the same. It's just that Zappi's smaller.
But they're assets. Like, Zappi, say what you want. I mean, if the team needs a backup, Zappi's that. If somebody wants to try to fix Mac Jones, they can try.
What are you going to get, though?
I still think a fourth or a fifth is fine, but doesn't this team need that?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to clear the room, go get a fourth and a fifth round pick, clear the room, draft a veteran, draft a guy, bring in a veteran. But things were really bad last year with Mac Jones. Forget about what was going on in the quarterback room. The defense was calling out the plays and telling him his mistakes during practice. Gerard Mayo was openly saying the defense is upset with the offense. Like, it was a bleep show last year all around.
Yeah, Maz, do you think that they could get a fourth rounder for Mac Jones?
I mean, given how it went, Murray, it feels a little high, but that's what what's his name got from San Francisco, Trey Lance, right?
Lance, yeah.
So and his stock was pretty low. He barely played. In some ways, though, I think that's better than Jones, because with Lance, you say, well, there's still some unknown there, and if you give him time and you develop him, maybe there's some skill there and athleticism that you can tap into. In the case of Jones, the sample size almost hurts him, because you say that's a lot of football, and he sucked for most of it. So now, look, in the right environment, could he be a backup? And again, San Francisco would be a good fit. He could back up a guy like Brock Purdy. You put weapons around him. Shanahan likes him, and Shanahan could make it a little easier on him with the scheme. So, but I have a hard time believing it's going to be anything higher than a fifth. If you get something higher than a fifth from Mac Jones, I think you take it and run. I think you take whatever you get and run anyway.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm with you. This was 6th, 7th, whatever. Just get him out of here. Max in the truck with a thought on the Patriots' upcoming draft. Hey, Max.
Hey, what's up, guys? So if Marvin Harrison Jr. is on the board at 3, do you guys take him and maybe draft a quarterback in the second round, and then also maybe sign a veteran quarterback, maybe like Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins? Thanks for taking my call, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Max. Joe?
The Russell Wilson thing got brought up by Kendrick Bourne when he was interviewed last week, I think, with Zoe Beadle. And he mentioned, he mentioned the quarterbacks he'd like to play for, and whether it's Russell Wilson, where'd the Russell Wilson stuff come from? So that's at least out there. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could show up and play right away on any team, but there are other wide receivers in this draft that I think will also go in the top 10. It's going to be hard to pass on Marvin Harrison to the point where you might have to listen to offers. But maybe you just move back a couple, but you still identify a guy.
I kind of hate the thought of that if they took him 3 overall, and then you're taking someone like Bo Nix or Michael Penix, who, I don't know, I was shook after that championship game. So he just feels like, he feels like he's going to be a transcendent player. Comes in, plays immediately, like you say, Joe, but I just feel like he's like a luxury item. Arizona's sticking with Kyler Murray, right? Like, they should be the ones targeting Marvin Harrison, I think. Maz?
Yeah, I only like it if there's a plan at quarterback. If you want to tell me that they're going to have a bridge quarterback and trade for Justin Fields, or again, pick whoever you want. There are certain guys I like, certain I don't, but without getting bogged down in the names. I don't love the Russell Wilson idea. If it's for a year, though, and you end up, trading someone like or drafting someone like Penix, then okay, you might be able to sell me on it. But the idea that if the idea is to build your team around Marvin Harrison, how is that going to help if you can't block and you don't have a quarterback?
Tom and Newton on the Patriots draft. You're next.
Yeah, hey, fellas. Murray, I was with you, on just wanting to finally maximize that top pick that the Patriots haven't had in forever. I'm just reluctant to do that because they have so many needs. Like, this is a situation where you need to hit as much as possible on the offensive side of the ball in this draft. It's not like the Patriots are a quarterback away from being good. I mean, they need the whole thing, and I just feel like it's such a crapshoot drafting these quarterbacks high. Even if you hit, you need all the pieces around them, and if you've missed, you've just wasted all that draft capital when you have so many holes on the offensive side of the ball. I hate when the Patriots would trade down, but I feel like this is a situation where you just need to get a haul for that pick, get the best tackles, receivers. I mean, they need everything. I mean, do you get a quarterback next year later on in the draft? Maybe you figure that out. I just feel like they're starting over, and when you're in that position, you need as many great picks as you can get. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah, it's fair, and it's why I'm somewhat reluctant, but I could be talked in. I could live with if it was the permutation that Mike came up with like a week ago, Mazz, in that, okay, you maybe make one of these deals with one of those teams that's, feels like, they've got some building blocks, but they're a quarterback and a few pieces away. Minnesota, Atlanta, and you trade back with them and you end up around, 9, 10-ish, something like that. But you're also getting their first-round pick next year. Well, okay. I mean, I don't love it, especially with these quarterbacks at the top, and I know that there are question marks there, but I could live with that if you're getting more of a haul of picks. But if they took a tackle at 3 or like some other player that's not a quarterback, I'm going to be pissed.
So, Murray, look, this is part of the reason people suck among the many. Okay? Look, because everybody wants it to be easy. Everybody wants it to be easy. Yeah. So you look at it and you say, well, yeah, I want Marvin Harrison. Why? Yeah, because he's good. Well, yeah, he's a receiver. He's exciting. He makes big plays. That's all great. Someone still has to get him the ball. Someone has to block. Like, it's just not that simple, right? So people want it to be easy and simple, and you want the quick fix, and you want the sexy, flashy player, all of which I get. But if the other elements aren't there, he's useless. Marvin Harrison is useless if you don't have the other things in place or if you don't put them around him eventually. So to me, like, you want to be good again. You want to be championship caliber again. And I know this is obvious, but too few people just react and want the flashy, sexy hood ornament. And I'm not telling you Marvin Harrison's not a terrific player. By all accounts, he's going to be an absolute superstar. So if you had some other pieces in place, I would say, sure, no question. They need a playmaker. They need a game breaker. If you would told me it was last year's draft, I would have said a tackle and a wide receiver. Fine. No problem. But they have so many freaking needs now. Like, do you want to just get the flashy guy and then not really be able to do anything with him? Or do you want to actually be able to get a flashy guy and use him properly when the time comes?